Let's take a legal deep dive now into two major local cases making headlines today. First up, Vallow Daybell. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office now says there is no timeline for extraditing Vallow Daybell back to Arizona. MCAO previously said it hoped she'd be back in Maricopa County by the end of the year to face multiple conspiracy to commit murder charges. The former Valley mom was convicted earlier this year of killing her two kids, Tylee and JJ, and was sentenced to life in prison in Idaho. Now, she's filed to appeal that conviction. Idaho's governor signed extradition papers last month, but the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office says there is no plan to pick her up until she is done with her appeal, which could take several months. Her husband, Chad Daybell, is scheduled to have his own trial next year for the murders of Tylee, JJ, and his first wife, Tammy. Criminal defense attorney Hector Diaz of Diaz Law joins me now. All right, so why the delay? Why no timeline in the extradition?
So Vallow is charged here, indicted with conspiracy to commit murder here in Arizona, connected to, the alleged murder of an ex-husband. And so there's no statute of limitations for that type of crime. So there's no, in terms of a clock ticking,
right,
they don't have those concerns. That's number one. Number two is I think that they want to get that appeal in Idaho, either let it get, pass and get expedited, or if there are any kind of issues, they don't want Vallow to have an argument later that she wasn't at a hearing in Idaho. She was in custody here in Arizona. So I think they're, the order that was issued for extradition allows for she to be transported back and forth.
Right.
So if we find that the Idaho appeal is taking too long, they'll get her here in Arizona.
Okay, all right. Let's go to our next case now that we did a story on this week. Arizona State Attorney General Chris Mays is trying to stop a mine from being built in the middle of a Chino Valley neighborhood, filing a temporary injunction to halt that operation, saying that it violates state law. Now, the Phoenix company, Rock Supply, wants to build a mine on residentially zoned land, according to court records. So what is the AG trying to prove here?
The AG filed this lawsuit, right, asking that the court preliminarily stop the mine. And essentially, it's really simple, that these mine activities are so close to this residential neighborhood that it would create such a nuisance.
Right,
we're talking
debris,
dust,
all of that, yeah.
Potentially even blasting that would go on in this neighborhood. And, this AG has stepped in after meeting with some of the neighbors and said, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Okay, but on the flip side, though, what right does the company have who owns that land?
That's interesting. So the company, is going to undoubtedly argue, we got all the valid permits, we did everything, we checked all the boxes that were necessary in order to get, these permits to develop the mine, undoubtedly. Now, the AG has said, but you never have owned a mine. It's really odd that, this was zoned initially for residential development. Now it's a mine. Did you really go through the planning to execute on this mine? Did you really kind of consider, the effort and the time that would go into this? And also, did you really consider the residents that are living there? This isn't the kind of case that I expect is going to settle. It's going to litigate.
Oh,
it's absolutely going to litigate. And
okay.
Yeah, so we're going to have to keep track of this as it proceeds.
Oh, absolutely. All right, Hector, thank you so much. You've got two more national cases coming up in the next half hour.